So let's talk about two paths here. One path is you put out your letter. You've obviously done this amazing work with the OpenAI files, and they have the impact you're looking to achieve. What happens?
Yeah, there's a near-term and a long-term question here. In the near term, I want regulators to be looking at every single component of this restructuring. To the extent that Altman has been accused of being an extremely adept boardroom kind of manipulator and negotiator who will say to people exactly what they want to hear to make what he wants to happen, I want to make sure that the attorneys general of California and Delaware, who currently have the obligation to, they're capable of overseeing this restructuring. I believe they don't have the requirement to approve it, but they could take enforcement action if it is against the public interest. And for that reason, there's like this de facto state of affairs where they will likely try to approve anything before OpenAI goes through with it. I want them to have all the facts. And I also want U.S. lawmakers in the Senate and the House of Representatives to have these facts, because more and more U.S. national interests are tied to OpenAI, and they have to be thinking about whether private industry is actually behaving responsibly and taking that into account when they're considering passing legislation. Because, as you know, I'm sure, not only is there like no good federal legislation on AI right now, there is an attempt to ban the ability for states to legislate for 10 years.
Absolutely.
And so, I think this is probably easier to stomach if you think that the companies are behaving responsibly. And I suspect that OpenAI's lobbyists are all over Washington saying, look at us, we're behaving responsibly. They're probably saying the same thing that the media says in terms of where the nonprofit is retaining control. And so in the near term, I hope that the OpenAI files in this letter can create greater public awareness of the fact that there are asterisks here that OpenAI would really like to brush under the rug that we should be paying very close attention to and trying to get the details and the receipts for. I can't say exactly what corporate structure OpenAI should be. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not particularly experienced here. And in fact, as I mentioned, I don't envy the position of Sam Altman. I don't envy the position of anyone on the OpenAI board. There are a lot of really difficult decisions to be made about what do we do about the international race? What do we do about the balance between moving quickly and moving safely? So, I can't say what the proper solution is, but I think more sunlight on this would probably make it more likely that we get a good outcome. So
certainly.
That's the
it seems to me like Delaware might have more hope than anything, although they got all the credit cards. They're certainly a very pro-corporate state, but they would probably seem to be less bought and paid for than California lawmakers certainly have demonstrated themselves to be.
I think that's right. Yeah, but I think you're also right that the pro-corporate state issue has been a problem recently as companies have up and left Delaware because of concerns about whether they're treating companies fairly. And so one consideration in the back of Delaware's mind might be does it read as anti-business if we tell OpenAI they can't do this? And so that's another reason we want to make these things public, is because we want to affirm that this is not an anti-business thing. This is do you actually respect the purpose clause and the articles of incorporation of OpenAI Inc.? This is a cut and dry, is the company following the rules thing, as opposed to some sort of using regulation as a way to push for what you personally believe, which certainly would not have to happen here. You could, I think, justify lots of enforcement strictly on the basis of things OpenAI and its leaders have said in documents and interviews in the first 5 years of the organization's existence.
Altman, in his early quotes, seems to be a genuine believer in the risk case. Says a lot of things over years that lights out for all of us is about as clear as you can get. Do you believe in his present day heart of hearts, he believes that the risk case is legitimate or not?
I think he probably has inconsistent attitudes that vary from day to day. And there are probably times where he's sitting back and reflecting and thinking about the future that his child is going to have and the world that they're going to be brought into, and thinking there really is something to worry about here and we have to take drastic action. I think there's probably also times where he's looking at his net worth going up and he's looking at, all of the things that AI could do if it goes well. And he's letting that voice get quieted, as I think he would be very tempted to do. when I try to look at like other examples of things in his life, apparently, in 2016, I think in a New Yorker profile, he said, I care so much about the world that I'm going to like set aside $10 million that I've earned, put that in an account, let it accrue, live off that. And all the other money is going to go to the world. Basically, I'm going to donate it all to the world. He hasn't done that, right? Like he now lives in like a $50 million.
Yeah, he's got like a $10 million car
in San Francisco.
Like,
yeah. Speaking of the car, one interesting thing. I don't have the details here, so I don't want to like lodge any accusations. But some of the
it's some crazy car that no one
driving,
can even pronounce, right? It's like some weird brand. It's zillions of dollars.
Yeah, Koenigsegg or something like that. But there's images of him driving that around. It has a Montana license plate, right? And he doesn't live in Montana. If you look into this is a common tax evasion scheme where you register an LLC in Montana, you buy the car through that LLC, and then you like drive it personally in California.